Once in the quaint village of Hemmingway, there lived a young girl named Keturah who had a peculiar talent. Keturah could weave stories so vivid and engaging that her classmates hung on to every word. But there was one problem. Her stories always ended with a cruel twist that left her listeners sad, scared, or confused. Keturah wasn't just a storyteller, she was a teller of tales. Her stories were not just made up. They were crafted to make people believe something awful had happened. One crisp autumn morning, Keturah gathered her friends under a weeping cherry tree by the river. She lowered her voice to a dramatic whisper. "Do you know why the weeping cherry droops so low?" she asked, her eyes wide. The children shook their heads. "They say a witch cursed it long ago," Keturah began, leaning closer. She was banished from the village, and in her anger, she turned the tree into her guardian. If you stand too close at dusk, its branches will wrap around you and pull you underground. Gasps rippled through the group. That evening, none of the children dared go near the weeping cherry, not even to play their favorite game of hide and seek. Keturah watched their unease with quiet satisfaction. During recess at school, Keturah found another opportunity to spin her tales. "Have you heard about the mirror in the library's attic?" she asked a group of curious classmates. "There's no mirror in the attic," Nerissa, her best friend, replied skeptically. "Oh, there is," Keturah insisted, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial tone. "It's not an ordinary mirror. It shows you something terrible, the moment when your greatest fear comes true. My cousin once looked into it, and he saw himself all alone, with no one to love him. He never smiled again." Nerissa frowned. "That's not true." "Go see for yourself," Keturah challenged. Though some children scoffed, a few avoided the library altogether after hearing Keturah's tale. One sunny afternoon, the children gathered by the lake to skip stones. Keturah seized the moment. "You know, this lake is cursed too," she said, her tone light but menacing. "No, it's not," shouted Ben, a boy who loved swimming there. "Oh, but it is," Keturah replied, her eyes narrowing. "They say a girl named Clara drowned here 100 years ago. She was looking for her lost doll. Now, her ghost waits for other children to play by the lake so she can take them underwater to keep her company." The laughter and splashes stopped. Even Jasper looked uneasy as Keturah continued. "If you hear her calling your name, don't answer. She'll pull you down, and no one will ever find you." For weeks the lake was abandoned, and Keturah basked in the eerie silence she'd created. Despite her growing reputation, Keturah's tales began to backfire. Parents complained to her teacher, Ms. Emily, and Keturah's friends grew wary of her. Even Nerissa, her closest companion, started avoiding her. "Keturah, you're scaring people for no reason," Nerissa said one day, her voice heavy with disappointment. "Why can't you tell nice stories?" Keturah shrugged. "Nice stories are boring. People remember the ones that make them feel something." "But why make them sad or scared?" Nerissa asked. Keturah didn't have an answer. Determined to outdo herself, Keturah spun her biggest tale yet. She told her classmates that she had seen a ghostly rider galloping on the path to the lake at night. "It's the spirit of a knight who lost his life in battle," she said, her voice trembling with mock fear. "He searches for someone to take his place. If he sees you, he'll follow you home, and by morning, you'll disappear." Her classmates were terrified. That evening, no one wanted to walk home alone. Even Keturah felt a twinge of unease as shadows stretched across the road. Her parents often scolded her. "Keturah, you must stop with these tales. Someday they'll come back to harm you." That night, as Keturah lay in bed, she felt a strange chill in the air. Her room seemed darker than usual, and the creak of her door sent a shiver down her spine. Suddenly, a shadowy figure appeared at the foot of her bed. "You've told so many tales, little one," it whispered. "It's time to face one of your own." Terrified, Keturah bolted upright. "It's not real. I made it up," she cried, but the shadow only laughed. By morning, the figure was gone, but Keturah was left trembling. Her parents didn't believe her, thinking she'd scared herself with her own stories. At school, her classmates ignored her. Her teacher, Miss Emily, tried to guide her gently. "Keturah, storytelling is a gift, but it must be used to bring joy and understanding, not sadness. Imagine how wonderful it would be if your stories inspired others instead of frightening them." Keturah, however, only smiled and nodded, but her heart wasn't ready to listen. One fateful day, Keturah decided to tell yet another big tale. During class, she claimed that she had seen a ghost wandering the village at dusk. It was tall and grey, with sunken eyes that glowed red," she said in a hushed tone. "It was looking for children who don't listen to their parents." Her classmates froze in fear, and the tale quickly spread beyond the classroom. That evening, the entire Hemmingway was abuzz with whispers of the ghost. People locked their doors early, children huddled in their beds, and the streets were eerily silent. Keturah's heart swelled with pride. But that night, as Keturah lay in bed, a strange chill crept through her room. She heard the soft creak of her door, and a shadowy figure seemed to glide in. Keturah's breath hitched as the figure whispered, "You've told so many tales, little one. It's time to face one of your own." Terrified, Keturah bolted upright and screamed for her parents. They rushed in, but there was no shadowy figure, just Keturah, trembling and pale. "It was real! I swear it was real!" she cried. Her parents exchanged worried glances. "Keturah, it's your imagination. You've scared yourself with your own stories." The next day, Keturah walked to school feeling small and alone. No one wanted to talk to her anymore. Her classmates avoided her, blaming her for the fear and sleeplessness she'd caused. Even her best friend, Nerissa, wouldn't sit with her. When Miss Emily asked Keturah to stay after class, Keturah expected another lecture. Instead, Miss Emily handed her a blank journal. "Keturah, this is for you. Fill it with stories that bring hope, courage, and laughter. Let's see how powerful your gift can be when used for good." For weeks, Keturah wrote. At first, it was hard to think of happy endings, but slowly, her stories began to change. One day, she read a tale to her class about a brave little bird that helped its friends cross a stormy river. By the end, her classmates were smiling and clapping. At first, Keturah struggled to write happy stories. She had grown so used to twists and sadness that hope felt foreign. But slowly, she began to create tales of bravery, kindness, and joy. One day, she shared a story about a brave little bird that helped its friends cross a stormy river. Her classmates listened intently, their smiles growing with every word. Over time, Keturah's stories became the highlight of everyone's day. She learned that seeing joy and hope on others' faces was far more satisfying than scaring them. From that day forward, Keturah became known as the girl who told the best stories, not because they frightened people, but because they inspired them. And though she never forgot the night the shadow visited her, she used it as a reminder to choose her words wisely, knowing the power they held. Over time, Keturah learned that seeing joy on others' faces felt far better than making them sad. And while she never forgot the night the shadow visited her, she realized that the scariest thing wasn't the shadow itself. It was the idea of losing the trust and love of those around her. Words have immense power. They can inspire, comfort, or hurt. the story teaches us the importance of using our talents to bring joy, hope, and positivity to others. It reminds us that true happiness comes from building trust and spreading kindness. The end. Please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting magical tales. Drop a message on the comment section, we would like to read from you.